The maitre d' at La Lumière offered Abigail Harper a tight, practiced smile as he adjusted the single rose in the vase on her table. "Another glass of Pinot Noir, Mrs. Grayson." His tone was polite, but the faint crease in his brow betrayed what his words wouldn't: pity. It was 8:47 p.m., and she'd been sitting there alone for 3 hours and 17 minutes, the same glass of wine she'd ordered at 5:30 long since warmed to an unpalatable room temperature. The ice in her water had melted into a sad puddle, mirroring the slow disintegration of her composure. "No, thank you, Philippe," Abigail replied, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt building in her chest. "I'm sure my husband will be here soon." It was a lie she'd repeated so often that evening it had become a reflex, a shield against the growing unease gnawing at her. She smoothed the front of her emerald green dress, a silk number she'd spent 2 hours selecting that morning, its color a nod to the way Ethan had once said it made her eyes spark like gemstones. That compliment, like so many others, felt like a relic now, buried under years of neglect. Her phone buzzed on the table, screen lighting up with a text from her old college friend Tara. "How's the big 18th anniversary dinner? You deserve a night of magic, Abby." Abigail stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. What could she say? Still waiting alone while the waitstaff mentally draft my eulogy? Instead, she flipped the phone face down and took a sip of the tepid wine, grimacing at its flatness. La Lumière wasn't the most extravagant restaurant in Seattle, but it held a quiet elegance that Abigail had always loved: exposed brick walls softened by dim Edison bulbs, a menu that balanced sophistication with comfort. She'd chosen it for their anniversary because it felt like them, or at least the version of them she clung to in her memory. The young couple who'd once laughed over shared plates of truffle fries at a dive bar, dreaming of a future where his law career and her photography studio would flourish side by side. That was before Ethan Grayson became Ethan Grayson Esquire, before their life became a series of his promotions and her concessions. She glanced at her watch again. 9:02 p.m. 3 hours and 32 minutes. The restaurant had thinned out, the clatter of dishes replaced by the soft murmur of lingering diners. Philippe approached again, this time with a bread basket she hadn't requested. "Just in case, Mrs. Grayson," he said, his cheerfulness so forced it bordered on parody. "No trouble at all." His fourth visit, each one more awkward than the last. Abigail nodded, her fingers tightening around the stem of her glass. Her phone buzzed again. "Ethan, this time traffic's a nightmare. Be there soon." She glanced out the window at the quiet downtown street, the occasional car gliding past with no hint of congestion. The same excuse he'd sent an hour ago. She typed back, "Should I order for you?" His reply was instant. "Don't wait." Not a suggestion but an order. She flagged Philippe down. "Water, please," she said, her voice catching slightly. He hesitated, then added, "Kitchen closes at 10 o'clock, just so you know." A gentle nudge toward reality. Abigail should have left hours ago. Any woman with a shred of dignity would have. But 18 years of bending to Ethan's schedule, his late nights at the firm, his last-minute cancellations, his insistence that her photography was a hobby, while his career was their foundation, had eroded that instinct. She watched a young couple stroll past the window, arms linked, their laughter cutting through the glass. When had she and Ethan last laughed like that? Not the forced chuckles at his firm's galas, but real unguarded joy? Her mind came up blank. The phone rang at 9:15. Ethan's name flashed on the screen. She answered, keeping her tone neutral. "Hey, Abby, I got held up at the office," he said, his voice clipped, distracted. "The Mercer case is imploding. 30 minutes tops." "The kitchen closes at 10 o'clock, she said softly. "I've been here since 5:30, Ethan." A sigh crackled through the line. "You're making this about you again. This case could lock in my partnership." "It's our anniversary, I know, but I made the reservation," she cut in, the correction slipping out before she could stop it. "You asked me to 3 days ago." "I meant to," he snapped. "Just wait, okay? I'll be there." The call ended abruptly, leaving her staring at the untouched place setting across from her. An older couple nearby finished their meal and left, the woman offering Abigail a small, sympathetic smile as they passed. Another pitying glance to add to the pile. By 9:40, the restaurant was nearly empty. Philippe approached with the manager, a woman in her late 50s named Margot, her graying hair pulled into a neat bun. Mrs. Grayson, Margot began, her voice gentle but firm, we're nearing kitchen close. Would you like to order something? We can make it quick. My husband's on his way, Abigail said, the words tasting bitter now. Just another 30 minutes. Margot nodded, but the look she exchanged with Philippe screamed skepticism. They'd seen this before, women waiting for men who never showed, shrinking into excuses. Abigail sipped her water, her mind drifting to the woman she'd been 18 years ago. Abigail Harper, fresh out of art school, her portfolio bursting with black and white prints of Seattle's underbelly, rain-slicked alleys, weathered faces, moments of raw humanity. She'd had 3 gallery offers that year. A chance to exhibit her work, maybe even start her own studio. Then Ethan got the job at the firm in Portland. 2 years, he'd promised. Then we'll move back, and you can chase your dreams. 2 years became 5, Portland became San Francisco, then Seattle. Each move was the last step before her turn. Her camera bag stayed packed, her lenses gathering dust. At 9:58 the door swung open, a gust of cool air brushing her shoulders. Ethan's voice hit her first, deep, commanding, the tone that won courtrooms in silence, junior associates. Then came the laughter. Not just his, but a chorus. Her stomach sank as he strode in, flanked by 3 familiar figures. Carter from mergers, Lena from tax law, and Victor, a senior partner whose presence at any event signaled its importance. They were in their office attire, suits slightly rumpled, ties loose, and not a hint of urgency on their faces. They hadn't been stuck in traffic. They'd been at the Gavel, the lawyer hangout 3 blocks away. Philippe shot her a confused glance as Ethan approached, his entourage in tow. She straightened, years of playing the perfect wife kicking in. A smile plastering itself across her face even as her heart fractured. Well, folks, Ethan announced, his voice carrying, I told you she'd still be here, waiting like a loyal pup. He gestured at her with a flourish, his silver cufflinks glinting. The words landed like a slap, and their laughter, Carter's bark, Lena's giggle, Victor's low rumble cut deeper. These were people who'd admired her photos at their housewarming, who'd raved about her darkroom prints at Ethan's promotion party. Now they smirked, complicit in her humiliation. For hours, Carter said, checking his watch. You win, Grayson. Drinks on me next round. Told you, Ethan replied, sliding into the seat across from her, loosening his tie. Abby gets the demands of a high-stakes career, don't you, sweetheart? His eyes held no remorse, only triumph. Philippe appeared, his smile strained. Drinks. We've had our fill, Victor chuckled, patting his belly. Just stopping by to see the lovely Mrs. Grayson and to confirm she'd wait all night. Lena grinned, not bothering to whisper. Impressive dedication. Abigail's cheeks burned. A couple at a nearby table shifted uncomfortably, witnessing her degradation. I'll have another glass of Pinot, she said to Philippe, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Actually, make it the bottle, Ethan corrected. We're celebrating 18 years of wedded bliss. His hand patted hers, a gesture that might have looked tender to outsiders but felt like a claim. Victor, Lena, and Carter made their excuses, offering hollow anniversary wishes as they left. Ethan settled in, scanning the menu. You should have ordered. Kitchen's closing soon. Why did you do that? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Bring them here? Make a bet. He looked up, annoyance flickering. It was a joke, Abby. Don't be dramatic. Besides, it's good for them to see I've got a wife who supports me. Victor's ex would have stormed out after an hour. He said it like it was a badge of honor. Philippe returned with the wine and took Ethan's order, a steak, medium rare. Nothing for me, Abigail said when he turned to her. Not eating. Ethan frowned. I've lost my appetite. For hours of waiting, of shrinking under pitying stares, had killed it. Suit yourself. He shrugged, already scrolling his phone. She watched him, this man she'd given 18 years to, and something snapped, not with anger, but with clarity. I need to use the restroom, she said, rising. He barely nodded, engrossed in his emails. In the single-stall bathroom, she locked the door and leaned against it, drawing her first real breath in hours. Her reflection stared back, poised, polished, hollow. The green dress clung to her like a costume, the careful makeup a mask. She pulled out her phone and opened the rideshare app. A car could be there in 4 minutes. Then she checked their joint account. Ethan's $172.19 bar tab from the gavel glared back at her. Her personal credit card, tied to his premium account for emergencies, sat unused. She'd rarely touched it. Her fingers trembled as she opened the airline app. One first-class ticket to New York, departing at 11:55 p.m. She hesitated, the cost $1,800 making her stomach lurch. Then she thought of her camera, still packed in its case from their last move, the lens she'd bought for a project that never happened. She pressed confirm. Seat 2B bound for JFK. Departure in 2 hours and 40 minutes. She reapplied her lipstick, a bold red she'd chosen that morning, and straightened her posture. Back at the table, Ethan was halfway through his steak, oblivious. "You know," she said, sliding into her seat, "I think I'll have that drink after all." He glanced up, smirking. "That's my girl." The plane touched down at JFK at 6:12 a.m., the whine of the engines fading as exhaustion battled adrenaline in Abigail's veins. She'd done it. She'd left. Her phone, switched to airplane mode after Ethan's 15th call, now vibrated relentlessly as notifications poured in. 58 missed calls, 92 texts. She scrolled through them, watching his tone shift from irritation to rage to desperation. "Where are you? Answer me, Abby." The credit card flagged a charge. "What the hell did you do? This isn't funny. Your sister's freaking out. I've called the cops." Would they really look for her? She was an adult who'd bought a ticket and left. Not missing escaping. She fired off a text to her sister, "Lauren, I'm safe. In New York. We'll explain soon. Don't tell Ethan anything." Then she powered off the phone and stepped into the crisp New York morning. The taxi driver's English was halting, but hotel cut through the language barrier. "Not too pricey," she added. "Near good coffee." He nodded and pulled away, the city unfurling beyond the window, not the tourist postcard of Times Square, but the real New York, gritty and alive. Delivery trucks rumbled, bodega owners swept sidewalks, early risers clutched steaming cups. They stopped in Greenwich Village, outside a narrow building with a faded sign, "The Lantern Inn." It was modest but inviting, its brick facade softened by ivy. "Morning," the desk clerk greeted, a wiry man in his 40s with a faint Brooklyn accent. "Got a reservation?" "No," Abigail admitted. "It was spontaneous." He studied her disheveled hair, designer dress, carry-on with a single change of clothes, and nodded. "We've got a room. 3-night minimum." "That work, miss?" "Abigail Harper," she said, her maiden name slipping out unbidden after 18 years. It felt like shedding a skin. "I'm Nate," he replied, tapping at the computer. "Moved here from Philly 10 years ago. Cheaper than Manhattan, better vibe." He slid her a key and a map circling a spot. "Best coffees at Brew and Bloom 2 blocks east. Tell him Nate sent you." The room was small but clean, a twin bed, a desk, a window overlooking a courtyard where pigeons strutted. She showered off the flight, changed into jeans and a sweater, and headed out. Brew and Bloom buzzed with morning energy, students with laptops, freelancers with notebooks, a barista calling orders. She ordered a latte and a croissant, settling by the window. The coffee was rich, the croissant flaky and warm. She bit into it, the buttery layers melting on her tongue, and felt a pang of something she hadn't in years, possibility. "Abigail Harper?" A voice jolted her from her reverie. A woman stood before her, tall, auburn hair in a messy bun, wearing a denim jacket over a black turtleneck. "It is you." Abigail blinked. "Do I know you?" "Sarah Kleinwell, Sarah Vega now. Art School 05. You shot that series on the waterfront, the one that won the senior showcase." The memory clicked. Sarah, the sculptor with a wicked sense of humor and a knack for finding beauty in rust. "Sarah, wow. You're in New York." "Brooklyn mostly. I teach at Pratt, run a gallery in Dumbo." "What about you? Last I heard, you were married to some lawyer in Seattle." "It's a long story," Abigail said, gesturing to the empty chair. Sarah sat, her eyes sharp with curiosity. "Spill. You look like you just ran a marathon in that dress." Abigail laughed, a brittle sound. and recounted the anniversary disaster, the wait, the bet, the flight. Sarah listened, her expression shifting from amusement to outrage. He bet on you waiting? What a prick. There's more, Abigail said, hesitating. I found out he's been controlling things. Opportunities one never knew about. Sarah leaned forward. What kind? Back in art school, I got a call from a gallery in Portland. They wanted to show my work. I was thrilled, told Ethan said he'd handle the follow-up while I finished finals. Next thing I know, they never called back. He told me they lost interest. Sarah's brows shot up. You think he tanked it? I didn't then. But yesterday I ran into an old professor online. He mentioned galleries reaching out over the years: Portland, San Francisco, even a residency in New Mexico. Every time Ethan said they fell through. I believed him. That's not coincidence, Sarah said, voice hard. That's sabotage. Abigail's hands tightened around her mug. I think he called them back, declined for me. Said I was focusing on family. We couldn't even have kids, tried for years, then he gave up. Said it wasn't meant to be. Sarah whistled low. He didn't just derail you. He buried you. The words stung, but they rang true. I need your phone, Abigail said suddenly. Sarah handed it over without question. Abigail Googled Elliot Vance, her old mentor, a photographer whose gritty urban shots had inspired her own. His site popped up, Streetlight Workshop NYC, April 2015. 4 days away. Elliot's here? Sarah asked, peering at the screen. He's running a workshop. I need to get in. Sarah grinned. I know his assistant, Mia. I'll call her. 4 days later, Abigail stood in a loft studio in Soho, camera in hand, framing a shot of a cracked fire escape against a bruised sky. Elliot Vance, graying now, but still wiry and intense, circled the room, barking critiques. He'd hugged her when Sarah introduced them, his eyes crinkling. Your hands still know the lens, Harper. Time didn't steal that. The workshop was a revelation: 12 photographers, a mix of pros and hungry amateurs, dissecting light and shadow. Over lunch, Sarah introduced her to Javier Ruiz, a curator at a Chelsea gallery, and Naomi Chan, a photo editor at Vivid magazine. They grilled her on her work, intrigued by her unpolished, emotive style despite her hiatus. You see texture like it's a language, Naomi said, scribbling notes. Ever write about it? No, Abigail admitted. Just shot it. You should, Javier added, sliding her his card. Send me a portfolio. That night, she called Lauren from the hotel phone. Abby, thank God, her sister gasped. Ethan's losing it. Says you're having a breakdown, drained the accounts. He's lying, Abigail said, recounting the dinner, the bet, the job offers Ethan had killed. Lauren's silence stretched then. We saw it, you know how he dimmed you. Mom noticed you stopped talking about your camera after the third move. I tried suggesting a photography class last summer, remember? He shut it down. I defended him, Abigail murmured, shame creeping in. We should have pushed harder, Lauren said. What now? I'm staying. I've got a chance here. Good. Don't come back until you're you again. Sarah offered her a gig the next day assisting at her gallery, prepping for an upcoming show. It's grunt work, she warned. Hanging frames, tweaking lights. But it's a foot in the door. Abigail took it, her hands rediscovering the rhythm of art-aligning prints, adjusting angles. Evenings she started a blog, Lens Unbound, pouring out her rediscovery. The way light fractured on the Hudson, the muscle memory of her shutter finger, the freedom of a city that didn't know her as Mrs. Grayson. 2 weeks in, Nate knocked on her door, face grim. Guy at the desk, American, says he's your husband. I didn't confirm you're here, but he left a number. Said your family's worried, something about finances. Ethan had found her. Lauren called that night. He showed up at Mom and Dad's, spun some story about you losing it. Dad almost bought it till I showed him your texts. They're with you now. Relief mingled with dread. Ethan's calls escalated: her phone, the gallery, even Elliot, claiming to support her passion. Each attempt felt like a leash tightening, but she cut them off, blocking numbers, dodging shadows. Her blog grew, readers trickled in, then flooded. A critic praised her post on Coney Island's faded neon. A gallery owner emailed about a group show. 3 weeks in, Naomi-chan tracked her down at the gallery. "Read your blog," she said, sipping an espresso. "That piece on your old darkroom days hit me hard. Vivid's expanding online needs someone who shoots and writes. 3-month trial. Interested?" Abigail stared at her card. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. Your eyes sharp, your voice is raw. Ethan might have stalled you, but he doesn't own you anymore." Monday dawned clear. Abigail had spent the weekend drafting her acceptance, wandering the high line, framing shots in her mind. She was headed to the gallery when she saw him, Ethan, leaning against the entrance, tie crisp, posture calculated. He'd lost weight, his eyes shadowed, but he morphed into the worried husband act as she approached. "Abby," he said, voice soft. "I've been sick with worry." She stopped short. "How'd you find me?" "Does it matter? I'm here. We can fix this." He reached for her, but she stepped back. Sarah emerged, arms crossed. "Everything okay, Abs?" "It's fine," Abigail said. "My husband was leaving." "Actually," Ethan cut in, smiling tightly, "we need to talk. Family emergency back home." Sarah eyed Abigail, who shook her head. "Take the day," Sarah said. "Your call." Ethan guided her to a bench in Washington Square Park, his grip firm. Once seated, his mask slipped. "This little stunt's over. The firm's asking questions. Your parents think I broke you. The credit card's a mess. Come home, we'll eat a health scare, time off." "No," she said, voice calm. "What was beneath me was waiting for you to humiliate me. What was beneath me was letting you kill my career." His eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" She pulled a folder from her beige mails from galleries. Confirmations from old contacts. "You declined offers for me. Portland, San Francisco, New Mexico. Told them I was focusing on family." "I protected you," he shot back, but his voice wavered. "You weren't ready. You protected you, a wife who wouldn't outshine you." He flushed. "Victor knows you're here. Lena saw your blog. Thomas thinks I can't manage my own house. I could lose partner." "That's your mess," she said, standing. "I've got a job with Vivid. Divorce papers are coming." His jaw dropped. "You're bluffing. Try me." He stood, anger flaring. "You'll ruin us both."
"No, Ethan."
"I'm saving me." She walked away, his silhouette shrinking in the park's morning haze. The divorce was swift. Ethan caved to avoid a public fight, his image too precious to risk. Abigail took the Vivid gig, her blog exploding into a platform. 6 months later, she hosted a dinner in her new village flat. Sarah, Elliot, Naomi, Javier, Nate serving dishes inspired by her journey, paired with photos she'd shot. Ethan texted once mid-meal. She deleted it unread, returning to the laughter around her table, the weight of 18 years replaced by the certainty of who she'd become.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.